to the 5th episode of Positively Awesome Wrestling. That's right, we made it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5th. I'm joined as always by the one, the only, the awesome Tidy. Tidy, how you doing on this glorious day?
Doing good, man. I'm conflicted about Sami Zayn stuff as usual. Been scratching my head all night, but that's why I'm here to talk about it. I got to talk about it.
So there you go. Rabbits out the hat, whatever. Rabbits out the bag, and we're gonna talk about the White Rabbit stuff as well. But obviously, we try not to always talk about the same stuff. But when Sami's involved, it's kind of hard not to. If you don't know, you're gonna know because that's what we're here to do. Praise the Almighty, not Bobby Lashley, even though he is the shit. Sami Zayn, he is the GOAT of everything at this very moment. So before we go any further, let's see what we got. Happy Sunday, boys. Thank you, El Capitan. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. And thank you as well for joining, Courtney. Good to see you guys. Thank you very much. We're just gonna jump right into it this week. Number one on the topic of what we are so excited about, and I'm glad you brought it up. It wasn't on my radar, but as soon as you said it, I was like, what was I thinking leaving this off? The match was fantastic. They did just enough for a TV match not to make it a pay-per-view match, which I think is it's kind of a hard line to kind of teeter on. And they did it perfectly because it was a great match, but I feel like they could give us more if it was on SummerSlam or something like that. Of course, we're talking about Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley, the Almighty, not to be mistaken with the Almighty Sami Zayn. I'm gonna let you take the reins here because Bobby is your guy. What about this, other than the fact that Bobby is awesome, made you be like, "Yep, this is my jam. I gotta talk about it this week."
Well, it's Bobby versus Seth. I like the promo how they led up to it. The way Bobby's like, let's fight about it. And I was talking to someone else about, kind of what's been making Bobby stand out. And it was since May, I seen the crowd starting to cheer for him. Corey Graves was saying on the commentary team, like, man, this crowd's really alive for Bobby Lashley. And he's been getting a positive overall response from the fans. And I went back and watched it in May. I've been seeing it. And I was trying to put 2 and 2 together because people would say, hey, Bobby wasn't a great speaker with him after MVP or during MVP in a sense, but he had the crew. It made him cool. He's already big and believable. But everything I know about Bobby's a simple dude. I mean, he said it on Stone Cold's Broke Skull Sessions. It's like, I like to fight. I mean, like, he does like to fight. I mean, and he talks, he comes out. He's just a simple guy. Likes to do his stuff. So when he's dressed up differently, he ain't got his shirt all ripped off and he's going in the back, lifting like that. He's got a suit on. He looks good. Approaches Seth and tells Seth that, you got that suit on and all this stuff and all these colors, but you ain't got one color. And that's this gold. You're going around telling everybody you're the champion or, you're the face of Raw. But this dictates what's the face of Raw. And then he's like, Seth's like, man, maybe I'll take that off of you. Maybe I'll do this and that. And then Bobby's like, simply, and it's simple. It's all Bobby needs to be. It's just simple. It's like, and he feels comfortable. He looks comfortable. Yeah. So therefore, it's more conveying to us that it's believable. And simple lines. And he's like, let's fight about it.
Yep.
And then Seth's face as a heel is so great. He's like, try not to look at him eye to eye in a sense. Gets a little scared. And Bobby stares him off as he walks out.
Yeah.
And that was leading up to this week. And the week, I mean, for me on Hulu Raw, it was opening. So
before you jump into the match, just 2 things I want to touch on with that. Bobby Lashley, when he's wearing that suit without the jacket, he looks like $1 million. Like he looks like the kind of guy I want to put on a show to promote WWE. He's a guy that you could like make the face of your company with the way he's presented right now. And also how you're saying like it's much simpler since Triple H took over, and this is exactly where it happened because I've been one of Bobby's biggest critics. Like he's always boring to me. He's always been boring to me. But since Triple H has come on board, I think it's from The Office. The keep it simple, stupid. They've kept it as simple as possible for him, and it works. He delivers it. He beats your ass. That's it. Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. It works. I had to get that in there because for all the hate I've given Bobby over the years, I feel like I got to give him the love now to make up for it because he's completely changed my mind, which is It's not that hard to change my mind, but the fact that he has done it and he's gone from being like one of the people I look forward to the least watching to now one of the people I look forward to the most on Raw in a very star-studded roster. So big ups to that. Big props to him. You may continue. Sorry, I had to get that in.
Yeah, and plus Bobby's got topics behind him. He's gonna be simple, keep it simple with his promos. He's got topics. He's United States champion, and they built that, and they built it, and they built it. And just like he keeps getting good matches, he has people lined up. It's not getting stale.
Yeah, he's not fighting the same person for a month.
The dude was even on Twitter talking mess to Seth for like a minute, looking at a camera, and he looked pissed. His eyes were intent. He meant business, and he's like, "I'm the United States champion. You're not taking this from me. I'm gonna whoop your ass. You're gonna find out why I'm Bobby." And, I was like, "Damn, Bobby's putting it out there. He's doing it on Twitter. Damn." But the topics, it is literally United States champion. Besides that, it's been me as a fan of him. I've been wanting to see him because I like a good guy, man. And then there was the whole promo thing, and it's like it's not going really anywhere. And then it got simple, and then you heard the crowd behind him. It was the same subconscious feeling I had that I wanted to see something good for him because I know he's a simple dude. He's a good dude, and he's got the believability behind him. He's got the theme music. He's got the entrance. And when he's in that ring, people can't say all year he hasn't delivered in those matches.
Yeah, I can't think of a match he's had that was bad. Like that's
definitely not this year.
Yeah.
No. So starts off 2 super kicks by Seth. He goes for the stomp. And Bobby, other presentation of the topic, he's the man of steel. He can't bend him to get the stomp in. Bobby stays stern as he goes for the stomp.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was so beautiful. It was simple. Keep it simple, stupid. It was beautiful how he did it.
Bobby runs outside, show the butts. Seth does like a backflip, lands on his head outside of the apron on the outside. I mean, it looked it looked brutal. Goes on. Seth bunkle bombs him. People forget how strong Seth is. I mean, that dude does cross training.
Did you see him when he was doing the buckle bomb? Like he was holding Bobby like this, and he was like, "Where am I going?" It was funny, which makes it even more impressive because he had to keep that concentration, hold him up while it was funny though.
And for the story of it all, it was like Corey was like, he cannot over strength. He can't, match the might of Bobby.
No,
what's Seth gonna do? There's a part where he headbutted him before he went outside and like kind of did the Sami Zayn J thing, and he got up on him, and Bobby started chasing him outside the ring. Seth was doing things like that to try to get over in the match because it told that the way it was, and then of course at the end, he kicks him. He does a low blow from behind.
Yeah.
But altogether, it was a solid match for Bobby. He had him in the hurt lock. Seth kicks up on the rope, goes backwards, pins him, but Bobby doesn't let go. Still, the Man of Steel was holding on.
Very impressive.
But it crumbled over the ref. It was like, oh, I just noticed that. And then he gets up, and that's when Seth low blows him with the leg from behind. Altogether, I thought it was a great way to open up Raw. Bobby still looks believable. I believe there was some interference, so then that saves space. Riddle shows up, distracts him. Bobby hits him with a spear. And in the past, I wasn't good with saving face, man. Like, oh, you can have another save face match where someone can't get a pin, or at least a cheat and then a pin.
Yeah.
Give me some kind of pin, a real pin, but it was a distraction. So it kind of saves space for it. And in this case, it's Seth and Bobby, and I'm okay with it, surprisingly.
Yeah. Sometimes they make sense, and this is the scenario where it clearly made sense. But not only did they make it sense, they did it right, because I feel like a few months ago, you would have had the Matt Riddle interference, and maybe he doesn't jump in, and maybe he just does what he did on this one. You wouldn't have had Bobby Lashley in a situation where he clearly had Seth beat prior. So when you have Seth have to cheat, and then you input that Matt Riddle interference, it still makes Bobby look strong as opposed to just making one of the people look strong. So I like how they did the whole finish. And again, sometimes these screwy finishes are needed to further storylines, and that's all this one was. The Seth thing, how he's able to go against Bobby, like he's clearly not gonna, like you said, match him strength for strength. And this is why I think Seth is number one in the world to me, is because he can take an opponent like Bobby and completely alter the way he goes about the match. you're still going to get some of the same like mannerisms from him and the same moves, but how he sets things up and how he attacks things is completely different. He goes, I got a big guy. I got to focus on things that are going to be the things that are going to work on the bigger guys. If I got a guy who's the same amount of same style as me, I got to slow him down. If he's got a smaller guy, which is very rare, he completely overpowers him, which I would like to see more of. It's just you don't really get that many in WWE, but
Yeah.
that was a testament to Seth. But Bobby Lashley here looked fantastic. A true champion. I love that they've made not only him look credible as the United States champion, the United States Championship credible again. It's the title on Raw. Like it is the title. So technically Bobby is the man, and they've done a great job with him. Like I said, the match, I know a lot of people are like, they want like the best match ever every single time, but when you do that, you kind of miss the ones that are really special because everything seems so great, which is why I said they did a really good job of just teetering on that line of giving us a really good match. But I know y'all got more. Y'all could definitely give us more. And that's the match I want to see. Whenever we have it, I don't know. But not going to lie, Raw has much more talent. SmackDown needs more. To that, I will say, I believe that was the case a few weeks ago. I think Hunter has done a really good job of elevating some of those people, using some people more. And I think the SmackDown roster doesn't look as bad as it did. I think they've done, and especially with the Hit Row. I think Hit Row came in and really helped. As crazy as it sounds, I think Hit Row helped a lot because it helps
tag teams.
Yeah, it makes the maximum male models. They have something involved with Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo gives them something. So whereas you had these guys before, they had nothing to do, but now they have something to do. So now it's like, oh wait, the roster has these people, and it makes it look better. So that's what I'll say to that. I do think Raw has much more better talent, but I think SmackDown is actually pretty decent right now. I'm wondering when they'll take the belt off Bobby. If not Rollins, then who? There you go. There's a question for you. Who do you think? Who do you see taking the belt off Bobby?
I don't see anybody anytime soon. I mean, they're definitely going to set up Survivor Series. Bobby going in as champ and whooping ass. I can see that. And if they were to say December or after Raw on day one or Royal Rumble on day one, Kevin Owens has been calling Roman shot. That's something another theory I have for later. I think Kevin Owens would be appropriate to do that. Only reason I would say Seth would earn it in a sense would be like if they have a three-way, if they fight 3 times in a row, best out of 3 falls or something weird happens, and right now he's just too distracted. I don't see anybody else willing to step up.
I'll throw a name out there that could be interesting and lead to a bigger program for Bobby. A Solo Sikoa. Solo takes the belt off of Bobby, and then Bobby now goes after Roman.
Oh, crap. You're right, because he needs another belt.
I wouldn't be mad at that, though. I think a Roman Bobby Lashley, especially with the way Bobby's presented now, I think it would be actually really good. But they're on separate shows, and we don't know if there's draft or anything. We have no idea at this point. So that's just a pipe dream as far as I'm concerned. We won't go that far into it.
That's a good point.
As much as I don't like Seth, that match with Bobby. Whoa. You don't like Seth. What the?
Okay, I need you to type in next. What is it about Seth you don't like?
I would love to hear this one. Oh my goodness. Hit Row, yeah.
I have time, so I'll say why in the beginning. Well, that's past tense. I mean, I like seeing Seth when he was more serious, and he's dropped enough of those over the years when he gets really serious. Like when he started going after Roman, started wearing the whole thing. Roman looked a little confused, like he's fighting Ambrose and Seth, and what was that? The call back to them. Anyways, when Seth gets dead serious, I think he's at his best. I love it when he flips that switch. And there's other times where he's, more giddy. But does it work? Yeah, it works. He did it with Bobby. His facial expressions, he was like a little scared when Bobby said, let's fight about it. So I think Seth's come into his own. It's really good. But I love Seth. I'm like 99 Seth. As soon as Seth hits that next level, 100, and he's serious, that shit is scary looking. And I love Seth when he does that.
I don't think there's ever been a version of Seth Rollins I didn't like. I don't know if there's many people I can say that about who have gone through as much character changes as Seth. Because even with his character changes, I feel like they're kind of just evolutions of himself. They're not far off to where they're like, yo, he's a completely different person. They're close enough to be like, he's just changed himself a little bit. But each version that he's changed himself into, I've been a fan of. Even the babyface one that everybody turned on a few years ago. Shame on anybody and everybody that did it because you're a bunch of bastards. He was fantastic as a babyface, which is something we don't see very much anymore. So
no, I was
shame
say
on
that
them.
too.
Seth has never disappointed me since he went solo. Even when he was in the Shield, what you talking about, homie?
He was great in the Shield. He stuck out.
Yeah. As what I said about the Shield when I was trying to explain it to somebody to try and get them to start watching WWE again, the Shield was a perfect combination of characters because you had Seth, who was the in-ring, just phenomenal talent. You had Roman Reigns, who had the look. He was a guy you look at and like, yo, that's a superstar. And you had Dean Ambrose, who was like the character that just like brought it all together. So you had the in-ring skill, the character, and the look. And that's why I think the Shield worked so fucking phenomenally because it was like they made a perfect wrestler. It took 3, but they made a perfect wrestler. But now they've all evolved and they're all fantastic on their own. But I'm just no fan how he. With that, we're changing the subject. Changing the subject. This isn't that big of a deal, but I am so excited and giddy about it that I'm talking about it because it's my show and that's what I'm going to do. And Tidy's here for the ride. He just loves talking wrestling, so it's okay. The Fight Pit on Raw. Seth Rollins finally accepted Matt Riddle's rematch requests, and he said, "I'll fight you anywhere, anytime." So Riddle said, "Fight Pit, Extreme Rules." The number one reason it has me excited because, again, anybody who knows anything about me knows Black and Gold is my jam. WCW is my number one thing all time. Black and Gold is a very, very close second. I loved everything about it, and the Fight Pit, to me, is everything that they wanted to do with Raw Underground, just better. It was just presented better because they didn't put the dancers and the hosts. They didn't add all the glitz and glamour to it. They just said, yo, here's a pit. We're going to put 2 people in there who hate each other, and they're going to fight. We've gotten 2 of them. They were both very brutal, but not in a way where it's like we have to use a lot of blood. We have to use a lot of weapons. They were just violent matches that showed you that they don't like each other. It gives Riddle that edge that I think he needs for this match if he's going to go over, which I definitely think he does. To where Seth can be like, all right, well, I want another match and we can get the trifecta, which I'm not mad at because Seth, that seems to be what Seth does these days. He has basically trilogies with everybody and they're always just beautiful, which is, again, why he's number 1 in the world to me. But you've seen both Fight Pits, Matt, Fight Pits from NXT, right?
Yes, they're excellent.
Which one did you prefer? Or did you just like them both?
I was trying to remember exactly how it went. I think it was he was tag teaming with, was it Pete Dunne at the time, but it was Matt Riddle.
And Timothy Thatcher.
Thatcher, that's right. And he did like a backflip, and I think he got injured or something off the side of the ring. Or
Thatcher was involved in both of them. I think the ending was he was caught in something, and he tried to use the cage, and he ended up getting suplexed. And that's what did Riddle in at the end of that one, I think is what the ending was. I'm not 100% sure. Fight Pit. Yeah, the Fight Pit's so cool. It is it's a new way to look at a cage match by instituting like what people know is real life cage match fighting now with the UFC. It's like I love how they were able to infuse both of them while still making it seem like a very WWE style thing. I probably did not word that good at all, but I hope you got
the layout stays the same. I love the layout, so I hope it stays that way.
I think the best way to explain it, like I said before, is it was everything Raw Underground should have been and could have been by just eliminating all the fancy nonsense because it's a fight. I don't want fancy nonsense if I'm looking at 2 dudes beat the piss out of each other. I'm there watching them beat the piss out of each other. Don't show me go-go dancers and lights flashing and all other stuff. Just show me a fight. So I'm excited for this. I'm very excited to see the creativity of Seth Rollins in it too because he's a wizard and not the Chris Jericho kind that shoots fireballs. He is an actual wizard in that ring. So, let's see, give him another run. That's fine. Nope. The trilogy will happen at Crown Jewel.
Really?
I think because Crown Jewel is between this stupid clicker
Survivor Series.
Yeah, between Survivor Series and Extreme Rules, so that will be that. They'll probably face off each other like as Survivor Series on teams or whatever. I can see that happening, but yes, it was epic. But then again, I think that the Ciampa Timothy Thatcher match was epic too. They were just both done very well. Come on. I think Riddle's experience inside a real life cage like this and Seth Rollins' creativity, if they are working together to put together this match, I just think it's going to be phenomenal. Again, not a big talking point, but I am excited about it. So we gonna talk about it. You have anything you'd like to add to the excitement?
Thatcher got over in those matches. I mean, I remember him, man. Like I was like, I think he knocked some teeth out. That's what it was. Riddle kicked him in the mouth, knocked some teeth out. Yeah, he was smiling at the camera, but also in pain.
And the blood from his teeth. Yeah, it was a great visual.
It got Thatcher even over for me because I already like Thatcher. I like his style. He's brutal. He can wrestle. Not wrestling, wrestle. And what happened to Thatcher? Where's that guy at?
He released him because he didn't fit Vince's style, which I get 100%. Because he was very, very, very different in that ring, which is what kind of drew me to him to begin with. The Fight Pit match is definitely what put me over the edge for him. I was like, yo, this dude's awesome. I love this dude. Because, again, just he wasn't trying to do anything pretty. He was just in there to hurt people. And I think we need more people like that on the show so that it's not just a bunch of pretty faces smiling all the time. Give me someone like Thatcher who's like, no, I don't want to hurt you people, and just busting them up. That's what I like to see more of. So yeah, Triple H should bring all these people back. Bring back Thatcher, please. I want. So yeah, Extreme Rules, Riddle. Who do you got winning that?
I mean, well, granted that Seth has already stomped him like 3 times. I mean, put his head. I mean, you gotta let Riddle win one. I mean. And if you don't, then what? Build him when Randy comes back, whenever that is, because it's pretty much over, man. You lost to the guy that's calling himself the face of Raw. So I mean, he's got to win this. I think he's got to win.
Yeah, I think the Fight Pit actually, and again, I'm picking Riddle, and I think the Fight Pit saves Rollins. It gives him an excuse to be like, all right, now we're gonna have a regular match. Yeah. And then Seth Rollins can win again, and I'm fine with it as long as Riddle gets one over on him. So yeah, with that, we'll just move on from there. Fight Pit, Extreme Rules. I'm excited. Match of the night for me, 100%. I say it right now, and I'm not backing down from it. But now it's time for our favorite part of the show because it is time for this man, Sami frickin' Zayn, the true almighty, and his Oscar-winning performance on. Let me get rid of this banner so we can appreciate that smile of Roman's over there. He sold this so well. Sami Zayn just doing magic on SmackDown. If you don't know, you better know because, man, that dude is gold. Get that banner back up. So before I swing it over to you, I just want to go ahead and before we go crazy on the Sami Zayn love train here, the Roman is not getting enough credit for the work he did in this segment because
good work.
His facials were almost as good as Sami's were. I think his job was a little easier in this segment, but I honestly thought he was kicking Sami out. Like that's the impression I got. My girl was watching and she was like, because at one point I got up at the edge of my seat and I was like, yo, is this happening now? Are they doing this to me now? And then I was focused. And then for a split second, I looked over and I saw that she had moved to the edge of her seat. And she was like, oh no. And she started welling up and she says, they're going to hurt him. And then Roman flipped it and said, yo, I got you your own shirt. And he started smiling, just having a great time. And then Jay's in the corner. Another person. He's getting some flowers, though. Just great performances all around in this segment. Which I've seen some people throwing around this is one of the best segments of the year, if not the best segment of the year. And I thought for a second, I was like, that's kind of jumping the gun. But then I went back and watched it, and I see all these performances. And I was like, no, I think it's something you can say because all people involved here just were phenomenal. Honorary Oos. That's our dude, Sami. Sami is just, I don't get it. I don't understand it. By God. And I've seen the names getting what are the names I've seen thrown in with Sami, with Mick Foley and Daniel Bryan? How it's like you see him and you're like, what is it about him that I'm just so gravitated towards? With Mick, it was because he was a lovable dude who just put his life on the line every time he was in the ring, and you're like, I respect it. With Daniel Bryan, it was like he just doesn't have that look, but my God, does he have more heart than anybody? I'm into it. With Sami, it's like, he's just entertaining.
I got an answer for Sami.
Okay, let's hear it. Let's see what you got.
Whether it's acting 101, I was trying to argue with my roommate last night. We went on a 3-hour tangent about Sami's bloodline and how, like you said, how good of a job Roman did. And then I had to research Roman's work the last couple of months. I was trying to figure out who's going to be the one to break our hearts, like really make us cry. This shit's going to happen, man. Like, I was tuning up and I already heard about it. I was like, oh shit. I saw Sami's face. The reason he's so good, I think that dude really believes his own shit when he's in there. Like he's not a character. He really wants Roman Reigns' respect.
Yeah.
To him, it's real. When he said take it off the second time, you see him looking like this. He's looking at Jimmy like, you too. He's looking at Solo. He's looking at all of them like, you're all turning your back on me.
I thought we
really?
were cool, Oos.
But his eyes are starting to tear up. It's that I don't think he's just acting. I think he has literally put himself into the character. He is fully a man on the moon. he is the character. He did the Jim Carrey thing where he is the character. That dude means it, man. I think that's why it's coming off the way it is. Like, I don't think the dude's exactly acting anymore. I think Stone Cold touched on that. The way you go, man, it's like reading your expressions are so masterful, but I think he's touched the part of where he is the character, and it's not a joke to him. Like, the dude's for real.
And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he's been given so much control over the character at this point. And this is something that he talked about on the Broken Skulls, where Vince gave him that freedom. Vince started to see what he was capable of, and the more he delivered, the more freedom he was given. And now he's at a point where it's like, yo, we trust what you're going to do. And he just does it. He goes out that curtain. The second he goes out that curtain, he's no longer, I can't remember what his name is, but he's no longer himself. He is the character. And that character does not slip up until he goes back to the other side of those curtains. And then he's even doing it on social media with just little posts. Rikishi.
Cracking me up.
They're so damn hilarious. Little shorts when he's on the bump. Everything he does, he takes advantage of literally every single thing at his fingertips. And I think right here, he says he has something that nobody else on the roster has. No clue what it is, but I'll gladly take. I just described it to you. He's literally taking every single moment and then some and capitalizing on it and hitting a home run every single time. I can't think of the last time I saw Sami Zayn doing anything where I was like, that was a flop. So I can't.
Other thing that I saw him do was, even at the end when Solo helped him and when he helped him beat up Ricochet and Madcap Moss, and he's like, man, I was just about to do that. Sami's bullshitting. Yeah, that's the one thing that I started figuring out. He is a habitual line stepper, but he takes his time and picks his moment when he's about to step. He goes a step further that he shouldn't. He's been doing it on Twitter too, just a little step further. They had the Talking Smack segment, and they had an interview with him. And right when you think he's kind of being nice, he starts yelling at the guy, like, man, I'm in an interview. Bloodline, hello. I'm in an interview right now. Can y'all keep it down? And he keeps going back to that, and he's talking to her, and then he brings it up. He takes a little step further, and I got the respect. I think it's more than that. And then that's when he says I took Solo under my wing when he first got here. Just a bit of a step. Like, that's kind of a douchey thing to say. Like, and Solo's underneath me. Like, he does it just right too. I mean,
it's little things like what you just said, where he's like, I took Solo under my wing. Those are the things that you need to watch for that will be the downfall of Sami and the bloodline.
Don't say it.
There's so many ways I could go. You just brought up a new one to me before we went on air, of like how it could go. And I was like, yo, that's definitely a possibility. And again, a broken record here. I don't care. It's what makes this whole thing so damn good is because not only is it entertaining and not only like we know where this is going. We know Sami's getting kicked out. We don't know how though. So we're still at the edge of our seats going like, when is it going to happen? How is it going to happen? Who's going to be involved? Is Kevin Owens going to help? What is this going to bring? Are we going to get the babyface Sami Zayn WWE Championship win after that? Like, there's so many things that we can look at and be like, that's a possibility. And I can't think of a single one that I've like read or thought of myself or that, like you've said, that sound bad. Like everything about this whole storyline is perfect. And I see people saying like, I hope it goes on for longer and longer. No, because after this segment, like you said, you were starting to feel bad. You were starting to tear up a little bit. What that segment did on Friday is let me know that when it eventually does happen, I'm a grown ass man that is going to cry. I'm going to feel so bad for Sami. Like, I don't care what kind of shit he stirs to make it happen. I'm going to feel bad for him. And again, that's just one more thing you look at, like, that's why it's so good.
If he can do the tears, if he can cry when it happens and actually cry like he was about to do in that ring, if he can do that, man, he's going to be beyond over. But again, I have my theory on how it's going to all go down. The reason is to screw us over even more as fans. And there's only one way to do that. I think if Jay ends up respecting him and Roman's like, hey, have a match, fight it out. I'm done with you guys fighting. And then Jay learns to get the respect. And then Roman does the ultimate evil move. Something happens like right before Survivor Series. And he's like, get him, Jay. And they hesitate.
I think what I want to do is I want to do a special where we break down all the ways this could happen. But that's for another day. Because there really is so many ways. There's so many ways. I think I'm going to put that together. I'm going to get 2 more people. We're going to have a whole panel for that. So I think it's going to be fun. But I won't get too far into the fantasy booking stuff as much as I love to do it. I will say that I've also seen the people saying like, Sammy's going to be so over when this happens. He's going to be so over when this happens. Roman Reigns is the most over person in all of professional wrestling today. If you don't know that, you're not watching the show, because like he comes out and people stand and they get those cameras and they're just like, there's Roman. Sami Zayn is in that ring sharing it with the most over guy in wrestling, and they're chanting for Sami Zayn. Some crowds are louder because some crowds are better. That has nothing to do with what they're doing. Seattle is clearly a better town than, I don't know, what was that god awful one a few weeks ago? I think it was Baltimore. Don't shoot me, Baltimore. It was some East Coast city, but Seattle, their crowd was like just all for Sami Zayn, and then you have another crowd that are just like, they're still chanting, it's just not as loud. If you were to do this in Canada, that would just
man, I don't know if people rush the stage.
Exactly. That's what you want. I always look back to the NWO Hogan turn. The reason I think it was so effective is because we saw the visual of those fans going absolutely batshit crazy, throwing trash in the ring and all other stuff. I think that is what made it so effective so quickly. So if you do that in Canada, Sami Zayn comes out, he gets that mega pop. They're all excited. They're all happy for him. They turn on him. They beat him down. Man, the visual that everyone at home is going to see of the bloodline just getting booed out of the country. Not just booed out of the country. Get their ass out of here. Somebody save Sammy. And then you get KO to come out and save him. The pop he's going to get for coming out to like, if they're doing anything like that, it needs to happen in Canada. That's my opinion. That's what I'm going to stick to, because I think that visual just adds to the whole storyline. But if you have nothing else to say on this, we can move on. But again, it is Sammy. I know we got lots to say. But since we're on the topic of bloodline, we're just going to banner go. We're going to stay on the topic of the bloodline. The conversation comes up probably once a year, and it's usually between the same 3 or 4 stables. You got the NWO, you got D-Generation X, you got the Bullet Club. I don't think the 4 Horsemen gets listed enough, which I think is kind of a weird thing to say, because for the longest time they probably were the stable of all stables. You have Evolution. Excuse me. The Shield, Undisputed Era. I'm throwing Undisputed Era in there. You can sue me if you don't like it, people. What based on the knowledge you have on stables and what we've seen from the bloodline, where would you rank these guys all time from your perspective as a stable?
All right, I'm gonna say number one, and I'm gonna say why.
Let's hear. I like that you're saying number one. That's not something I was going to expect to hear.
3-hour talk last night with my roommate when I told her what happened with Sami. And then she's like, and she brings up the point, and so do I. We're just trying to see where it can go. And then she's like, the reason why this is working so well, I'm shocked that she says this because she doesn't watch it as much as I do. I only tell her about it. But I've been, schooling on wrestling stuff for a while. And she's like, it's because every one of them are a character. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, Jay is a character. Jimmy is a character. Paul Heyman is a damn good character to have. Solo is now an enforcer, making him now a character. Sami, as we know, can be the centerpiece. He can be the foundation. He can be the ceiling. He can do any character it is. And Roman, what he proved just last night, I went back and watched what he's been doing. Whether he gets that little smile on the side, if something benefits him. You see that evil grin. It's like, oh, he's about the bloodline and he's got the family behind him. But at the same time, it's to his benefit. But he's making them believe, acknowledge me, Solo. And what he's doing there is that you interfere in my matches, you help me win. But he's making them believe without me, this all falls apart. He's controlling them.
Yeah.
You put all this together. You put all this together as characters. And well, he's also doing the thing where giving them hugs and it makes everybody, oh, cool moment. But
the manipulation is on point.
He's Roman Reigns. He gets what he wants. So it's just the characters. They're so well done. It's everything together. That's why I think, and of course they can go. And of course he's the main attraction. And of course it's Sami. And of course it's Paul Heyman. There is no better faction. And it took me, even when you said that, I thought about last night. I was like, yeah, they are it. Period.
I like the answer. And I'll touch on it a little bit. I don't know where I'm gonna rank them. I'll hold off a little bit before I answer it. But so what you were saying is the characters, and they've evolved since it started. It just started as just Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman, and then they got Jay and Jimmy on board, and then obviously they got Sami riding the coattails, and you get Solo coming in playing the enforcer. And as you said, they're all characters. They're all playing roles. Most of the time with stables, you kind of see them play themselves out. They get old, they get stale, and it's kind of like, okay. Perfect example, as much as I hate to say it, NWO. I'm not of the belief, like most people are, that they got too big because the whole purpose of the NWO was to come in and take over. So the more people they had, the more realistic it seemed they were taking over. I do feel like they got too much control over the entire show, and that's why it fell off. That's for another day, though. They didn't evolve, though. They just kind of got to where they were, and they stayed stagnant. They tried to profit. They didn't try to evolve it. They just tried to make profit by splitting it up into 2 NWOs and then bringing it back to 1. That's not evolution. That's just you trying to milk some things. And that's why NWO, in the end, failed, in my opinion. Then you have DX, where the original version was cool. The second version was hella better. I'll die on that hill. I don't care what anyone says. Triple H has led DX with New Age, China, X-Pac, my bad, not 6. That to me was the best version. And then where they lost me is when they tried to bring it back with Triple H and Shawn Michaels. And it's kind of like, you're milking it. You're not evolving. You're sticking with the same shtick. And that's why it doesn't work for me. The bloodline is evolving, though. That's crazy to me. We'll touch on the Shield as well because Roman Reigns is part of them. And I think this is another reason why I think Roman Reigns is kind of moving up that list of like those all-time greats to me. He was the guy in the Shield. There was no leader in the Shield, but he was the head guy. Like when they come out, it's Seth, Dean, and then I'm Roman. I'm the center. I'm the attraction. So the Shield was phenomenal. We haven't had a stable in WWE since the Shield that was good that I can think of off the top of my head, unless we're counting NXT Undisputed Era, but I'm not. I'm staying WWE. And then you come along, here comes Roman, and then he's doing it again. He's giving us another stable that he's the head of, and he's taking that literally because he's the head of literally everything. And he's just and it evolves. Brandon, I know you're a historian. Let me know of any other stable you know of that has evolved over time, like the Bloodline has. Because I can't think. I know Four Horsemen kind of like switched up a lot, but I don't know if it was
They
on
can
the same level as this.
they can even go further. I mean, you think about how it started. It was
There's
him
so
versus
much more.
Jay.
Yeah.
It was him versus Jay. That can easily go back to a beef, but I don't see that really. But it's got such entertainment dynamic. The fact that I can think that Jay can switch back for a second because Jay's getting pissed, but he also put Jimmy in check. Jimmy was like, I ain't nobody's bitch. That was his shirt.
Yeah.
He put them in check.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
oh,
that,
the back to the
history.
manipulation thing. I'll say this real quick just for Andy in case he listens. I think the Solo Sokoa as the enforcer and how Roman made him acknowledge him is how we're going to end up seeing the Rock get brought in, because it was the ancestors that sent Solo to join, and Roman immediately was like, "No, acknowledge me." Okay, so now we need to send a bigger deal in. Here comes the Rock. I'm not acknowledging you. Bloodline. I don't think the Bloodline will be around next year. That's my opinion. I think it's going to end up folding, which I love. It's not going to overstay its welcome. And that's going to make us be like, man, if only it could have been around longer, and we'll appreciate it and love it more, like we did with the Shield. They killed it at the perfect time. And like I said with Sami, I don't want him to stick around too long. I want us to be like, yo, what could have happened if he stayed longer? I want it to be like, you took us by surprise. You didn't milk this thing. You did it at the right time. So with that, I rambled there. I went up in many directions there. I'm going to go ahead and put Bloodline. Man, I'm going to put him at number 3 all time right now. I think so. Like, just on the spot. I'll think about it a little longer, and maybe I'll change it. But I think NWO, DX, and then Bloodline for me all time. I think they've gone there. And they could rise the ranks. They'll never overtake NWO. That's the bias in me. Like, that's never gonna happen. I don't care.
I've never seen it, so I mean,
Yeah.
I heard of it. I heard of these other stables. I don't have a lot of history with that. So I started like 8 years ago.
I'm not surprised to see him put Horseman in there. And I'm glad you did, because they don't get the credit they deserve, Captain. They really don't. And that's a damn shame. DX 2.0, yes, that's the DX I'm talking about. So we're on the same page there. I take the Horseman out, and that's my list. I would probably put Horseman at 4, and then again, my bias is going to kick in. I'm going to say the Undisputed Era. But on to the next subject before someone reams me for putting Undisputed Era in the top 5 all time. Where we at? Okay, so this part of the show. We're doing good time this week. Look at that. We're starting to get the wheels rolling. We got the oil. Everything's working good now. Everything's good. Your question of the week. You can. I paraphrased it. What makes a good heel? And that's probably not the question at all. So go ahead and fix what I put there, because I don't know what I'm talking about there.
So I was thinking I was thinking just the other night, because again, Roman, of what he's done. But then I started thinking like why I like Charlotte Flair, and then I hear other people's opinions, and people fight about, talk about your favorite heel. The thing is, I want to be able to talk to another fan about my favorite heel. But the thing is, it's hypocritical. I'm not supposed to like these people. So what made me like them? There's always a redeeming quality. There's something that I do like, and usually it's a history. It's a Ciampa versus Gargano. So I started liking Ciampa. Charlotte Flair through the women's evolution of coming up and women making a name for themselves and having big matches and taking the women's championship. But the thing is, what I really wanted to get to, that's like some of my reasoning. I was like, there's a reason, why do I want to share this with people? But how long, like if you can start today and like you got a new fresh person, we never really seen them much on NXT. How long does it take to make a real heel? To me, it took a lot of history looking back. Like I never loved them immediately.
Yeah.
I liked them. Like how does it take a really long time to make a heel?
Okay. So before we go to that, I'll give Captain his more chef's kiss of the Horseman, because again, I'm going to give him. It's just a crazy thought that in the world of the Twitterverse, I don't see the Horsemen get that kind of credit they deserve. But again, it's a bunch of young people, so I guess it makes sense. It's a damn shame, though. It really is. One table was examining the Pringle dynasty. Yeah, I know Percy Pringle. I can't tell you anything else about the the Pringle dynasty. But I'll break your question down into two. The first part was, um, why do you like the heel? And I think, and I've always went back to the NWO here because, and honestly, when I was writing my piece on Scott Hall, rest in peace, I kind of like started thinking back on things. Razor, when he came out, he was a bad guy, but man, was he cool. He was just cool. He's the guy I like watched. Macho got me on the hook, but it was Razor that reeled me in because he was just so cool. And my friends like, yo, he's a bad guy. I said, yeah, he's the bad guy. They're like, no, he's a bad guy. And I'm like, yeah, he's the bad guy. Like they couldn't convince me that he was a bad guy because I thought he was just so cool. Fast forward, he comes to WCW, the NWO thing starts. Ah, man, I hate that you didn't get to watch this stuff live, man, because it was so freaking beautiful. But the NWO comes in, and it was new because the wrestling was in such a campy era where it was just like, here comes the goon dressed as a hockey player. The track, was overly gimmick crap. And that's kind of all it was. And we were just getting tired of the red and yellow Hulk Hogan, say your prayer, stop it. Stop. I never liked it, but you could tell other people were getting tired of it as well. So NWO comes along and it's different. And people are like, this is interesting. Because now you're bordering like, is it real? Is it not real? I don't know, but I really like watching it because I'm invested. And then the NWO, they continue to do what they're doing, and everyone's like, yo, this is cool as shit. They're a gang. And when people see things like that, they're like, I want to be a part of it. So then you get the people decked out. And that's why NWO is the most profitable thing in the history of professional wrestling, because people just wanted to be a part of it. The NWO, and I'll go ahead and take it a step further and give my man Scott Hall all the love and or hate, which I'm sure he'd love because he loved the business and he understood it far better than most people do these days. He kind of ruined the heel by making it cool. Like we wanted to see the heel. Like, because again, like I saw Razor and I was like, kick his ass. And if he lost, I was like, yo, boo that man. And I was like, yo, that's the baby face. What are you talking? I'm seeing Sting get his butt kicked every single week. And I was like, yeah, get his ass, beat him down. I love this shit. And then all these people who are growing up that have gone, like the era we're in now, they grew up watching NWO. Even like a few years before now, you still had those group of people, the wrestlers that wrestle now, that grew up watching NWO. And they're like, yo, I love that. I want that. And I think that's where probably 90% of the heels that we like, it's that they want that cool factor. And this is the one thing I've always said about MJF that holds him back as far as being like the absolute best heel in the business. Because I stand on this. Baron Corbin is the best heel in the business because he truly does not give a shit. And that's what a heel is. Like, There's times where I'm like, yo, this dude is corny, but that's his job. Like, I'm not supposed to like him. So in those moments where I don't, I'm like, he got me. I love this man because he's so good at it. But MJF is like, I want to be cool. I got to say that thing that's going to make people laugh. I got to say that thing that's going to hit and make people. Here, I forgot to even put the picture up of him real quick. I got excited about this question because I got to talk about the NWO. Like, see, that's funny, and it's a heel move. But again, it's funny. Like, I'm seeing, I'm like, man, he's hating on DDP. And I love watching DDP get his butt kicked back in the day. So it just is added to it. I'm like, yeah, MJF, you the man. I know Captain's probably going to be mad that I'm shitting on MJF. But I'm not. I love MJF. That's just the one thing I see with him. And again, I think that's why we tend to like heels. I don't know if that answered that part of your question. But it's the cool factor. Because if you take away the cool factor and you have people like MJF, oh, not MJF, Baron Corbin, like there's nothing cool about Baron Corbin. He's just a dipshit. That's all. Like, no matter what he's a dipshit, and we not supposed to like dipshits. I think today we kind of respect work, and that's where Baron Corbin gets his love, is because like he's a really good heel and I respect the work he does. So it's like, okay, I like that part of him. But the character, yo, piss on him. And that's why I'm glad they took away the bum character from us when they did, because
we were liking it too much.
Yeah, and then everyone complained about it. Like, yo, we want bum Corbin back. And it's like, yeah, so you hate Happy Corbin? Good. That's the way it's supposed to be. So with that, second part of the question, how long does it take? There's no real answer here. How good are you? How are you wanting to do it? Are you wanting to get like cheap heat, which won't last? Or are you wanting to be like like, are you wanting to be like a truly hated man? Because with that, I think, let's see. Again, MJF, I'll use MJF as a example here. Cheap heat. He's very good at getting cheap heat, and he has so much ammunition that it doesn't come across as cheap heat. But really, he just insults the fans. He makes little quirky jokes like that, and it's like, yo, this guy's an a-hole. He takes it to the next level, 100%. He has no filter, and it's awesome to see. But if you come out popping cheap heat, people are going to hate you. They're going to be like, yo. But then again, if you're not MJF and you're not that good at it, eventually it gets stale and people just don't care about you. I'm trying to think of someone off the top of my head.
That's my problem too.
I can't think, because usually when they fade off, I just don't care anymore. But there's definitely been a lot of people that come in and they're good heels at first, but then it just goes away. Eventually I just don't care. Veer's a good one. He never had like crazy heat, but people hated him there for a second because he came out and destroyed the Mysterios. But then after Mysterios, why do I hate this man? He just comes out and beats people up. I don't really care. So there's the slow burn where Randy's already the greatest heel of all time, but it's the easiest example for me to use. We all assume that Randy is going to turn on Riddle. We've gotten to the point where we absolutely love Randy Orton as Riddle's best friend. We're like, yo, they are awesome. They are two peas in a pod. Everything about this friendship is phenomenal. And then we never got a chance to get there, but you'll start to see those kind of like teases. Like, oh, is he turning? What's Randy doing right there? We see it coming. He'll just do little things to make you kind of build the anticipation. Like, we see the heel turn coming, but is he really going to do it? Because we expect him to. And then when it eventually does, based on how much we've fallen in love with the story of RK Bro, which was one of the most over things in professional wrestling at the time. There's no question.
Yeah.
Like, we would hate that man for it. But to switch it up a little bit, we could use Riddle in the same concept here. Riddle isn't a heel that we all know. Like, he's done it on the indies, but that's for the indie people. We just know Riddle is, hey, bro, Randy, riding my scooter, just a lovable goofball who just is just absolutely enamored by Randy Orton. And we've gotten to the point, again, where Randy Orton is over as a babyface, which I never thought was going to happen. So that's another just testament to how awesome RK Bro was. If Randy was to come back and save Riddle, and then Riddle turned on Randy, how much would you hate Riddle?
That's messed up. Yeah.
Especially because of all the backstory to it. Like, if they were just there for 2 months and they just teamed up a few times and it happened, you'd just be like, what a prick. He better have something to keep me invested, though. At this point, he don't really need to have a whole lot to keep me invested for at least the first few months, because I'm like, yo, that son of a bitch turned on Randy Orton. Like, he has a mother. And I don't know how long they were together, but I guess that's why it's such an open-ended question as to how long.
Yeah.
Again, it's how good are you? How good is the story that's getting you there? And do you want to take the easy route, or do you want to have that lasting ability?
Yeah.
Because again, Hogan came out and turned into a heel, like the I'll say the biggest heel in the history of the business, and he literally just dropped the leg. That's all he did, and he became the biggest heel in the business because of all the stuff that happened prior. So, do you count the stuff that happened prior, or do you just count the leg drop? So, if you count the stuff that happened prior, which I think you have to, that took 15 years
oh, man.
to make that heel. with Riddle. If he did that, it would take him like 2 years, I think, to get there. MJF showed up on night one of Dynamite, and people were like, "Yo, this guy's an asshole." So there's levels to it, kind of like with everything else. There's just levels to it. Let's see what we got here. MJF, Piper, Flair, Lawler, Rude, Heenan, all heroes who understood just not just how to push buttons, but which. There you go. That's another thing that you do is when you're doing the cheap heat, and this is where MJF is different than the other people who use cheap heat, is he knows what buttons to push. Thank you, Captain. That's a very good point. He knows exactly which buttons to push, and he's not oversaturating it with it. Like he knows when and he knows how. If the crowd is kind of starting to go in his favor, he'll make a comment about the crowd to make them mad at him again. But then he steps back and he goes back to what he's supposed to do, and that's the kind of what you want to do. Because if you stick with the crowd too much, again, you're playing to the wrong thing. You're supposed to be the storyline is where you want to go with it. Yeah, I rambled a lot.
No,
I hope I answered it to the best I could. And Randy Orton, best heel ever. And see, I think that is why we've fallen in love with him as a babyface so much, is because we know he's the best heel ever. So when you're able to show me that other side of him, a la Hulk Hogan, when he became Hollywood Hulk Hogan, he became the best. He became the best heel ever, in my opinion. I think Randy is top 3, but in this generation, he's clearly the best heel. So when you're able to turn that, you've done a good. I don't know. I'm rambling. I'm going off course now, but yeah, that's it. Like there's really no given answer. How good are you? Like if you want, you can give me like a talent that's a babyface right now who's never been a heel, and I can tell you how long I think it would take to make them like a really hated person.
Babyface, maybe a good babyface. Well, I mean, I already know Johnny Gargano could do it. He did the way. Johnny Gargano already did the way, so this guy's got a lot
hated. Of credibility. I'll do Johnny Gargano because Johnny Gargano wasn't hated. He was just kind of like, he's doing bad things, but man, this is kind of funny.
He was loved. He was a loved heel.
Yeah, he was a loved heel. There you go, because it was quirky and it was like, I can't hate this. To make him hated, John Cena. Again, I could
leave him out of the conversation. He's the GOAT.
I can't. I don't want to go. That's a whole show right there.
At least
they put John Cena in NWO, and people still love them. So no. Johnny Gargano, I think with the right storyline, it would probably take a good year to really get the seeds planted and make him a person that we truly hate. There you go. Insult your football team, cheap heat. You bring their wife into it, more expensive. You dig up and desecrate the grave of your relative who took. That's the heat that earns receipts. There you go. There you go. MJF never turns his heel off. Like I saw a video of him. This is why I fell in love with MJF as a heel. He was walking on the beach and he literally just walked over and destroyed some kid's sandcastle. This was not a setup thing. This was someone just caught it on camera and just put it on Twitter, and it kind of just spread like wildfire. Like he was like, "Yo, I'm MJF and I'm playing heel 24/7. So fuck your sandcastle," and he destroyed it. I'm like, "Yo, what's this man doing?" And I don't know if you've ever seen the videos of him. You go to his autograph signing, bro. He'll rip your picture up and throw it on the ground. Like he does not. He'll flip people off while they're taking pictures with him. So like there'll be a kid next to him, and the kid's all happy, and then he just sticking his middle finger in the kid's face like this.
God damn it!
There was one where the lady was, I don't remember what it was, but apparently she paid half the thing because she didn't want the full experience. She just wanted the picture signed. So he goes, "Oh, you paid for half?" And he ripped her picture in half and then signed half of it and handed it back. It's so, yeah, that's the levels MJF is working at. So that's why I give him that. Yeah, he's really pushing that WWE button right there. They took pictures. They were hanging out together with some actor they're both friends with, I guess. But yeah, Johnny Gargano, I think you need a good year to really get to the point where it's like, I hate this man. Because he's a perfect babyface. So I don't even know if you'd want to do it. But if you did, bare minimum a year. It doesn't break kayfabe. That's why he's the best. Yeah. I'll say this: kayfabe matters to certain characters. I don't think it's necessary for all characters anymore. MJF, it definitely works because if he was switching from just MJF to the normal person, it wouldn't. I'd be like, whatever. But since he's an asshole all the time, I'm like, okay, yeah, I buy it. So yeah, that's that. If I didn't answer your question, I'm sorry. I think I did the best I could.
No, it's good, man. My thing was you know, why I was struggling with why do I love heels and trying to explain to a person that watches wrestling or doesn't watch his wrestling, and I'm like, this is why they're so cool, and I start having an internal thing of,
Yeah,
man, why I like a bad guy so much, but then I
they're
had
more
to look back.
interesting.
It was usually the history, how it got there, more than mannerism. Yeah, some of it's just that they're cool, but I find something to root for, and it digs under my skin.
Yeah. Which is why when I see a good baby face, I really get behind him. And that's why I really hated people for turning on Seth because he was that baby face. And it's like, why? Why? Like, I know we all like heels. They're cooler characters. They're more fun. They get to have more fun. I think they're easier characters to portray. How good you are, I think that just depends on how good you are at doing the job. But like if you look at comic book characters, most of the cool ones are heels.
It's the bad guys.
And
Yeah,
bad guys, they get to have more fun. So
it's
I
what
guess
makes
I just
Batman.
answered your, huh?
It's what makes Batman Batman. He needs a villain to fight.
And the
Batman.
villains are significantly cooler than as much as I love Batman. The villains are significantly cooler than him. Yeah, big time. It's easy to be a heel. Yeah, absolutely. You right on the head with that one. It's very easy to be a heel, but man, to be a top level one, you have to really know your shit. See, I think I just answered your question right there with that last part. They're just more interesting characters. That's all it boils down to. Baby faces, you're like, he's doing the stuff that I'm supposed to do. I want to live vicariously through these characters. I would love to pour dog food on Roman Reigns' goofy ass head. Oh, Baron Corbin did it. I love him, even though everyone hated that segment. I love
that.
That
was awesome.
But that's the show. I got no more. If you want to add anything else before we go, I was going to touch on White Rabbit, but I feel like everyone else has been. So,
well, man, if eventually we got to go over the whole thing about the bloodline, how it may end up turning. I think
we're definitely doing that. We're definitely. I'm gonna get 2 more people, and we're gonna do a panel on.
I got like 4 pages of writing last night, and I figured it out. It broke me, but I figured it out.
Okay, we are going to touch on the White Rabbit thing because I've seen a new theory that I thought was very interesting. I know I'm over the time, but I don't care. So White Rabbit is very interesting. I know that I love the bloodline stuff so much, but the White Rabbit stuff I'm the most intrigued by right now. Who do you think it is? We'll just get that out of the way real quick.
I mean, I barely mentioned what people were saying on there because it's been chaotic and weird. I was like, man, I'm just convinced that it is Bray, and it's going to be whatever he wants it to be. I can't think of anyone else.
Yeah,
you know.
I'm 100% sold on the fact that it is Bray. Now, maybe you can answer this question for me. When did the first White Rabbit thing show up on Raw? Before or after Edge got hurt?
See, I didn't even know about that. Someone did some research then. If they found that, no, okay. I didn't know about that.
Okay, so this person, I'll give them a shout out. I know they ain't watching, but in case they are, props to you. It is Azrael _Hayward. They have this theory that the White Rabbit is actually Edge. I'll say this right out the gate. I would be disappointed if that's the case.
Yeah, that doesn't need to be.
Because we just went through a return for him. We had vignettes and all that. Why do it again? But I do think it's interesting enough to bring it up. Because, again, I'm 100% behind the thought that it is Bray Wyatt. I broke it down last week on the podcast. If you haven't seen it, people, go watch it on WrestleBuddy. I think I broke it down pretty well. But the promo, we'll start with the promo on Raw that had the Hangman. He was, the first letter that the bunny jumped on was D, and then it was E, then M-O-N, Demon. Okay? Which is linked to who? Finn Balor, the Demon. Second promo after that was you had to beat a game when you get to the red door, and the word says patricide, which is, it has something to do with killing your father or something like that. Well, Dom turned on his father,
Mm.
Ray. So there's part 2 of it. Third promo that was leaked by some troglodyte. It shows the rabbit getting carried away into the riptide after playing. I haven't seen this one, so I guess this theory depends on that. Because again, I don't know. I have not seen it, but apparently it gets carried away in the riptide after playing tic-tac-toe. The riptide is
Rhea's
Rhea
move.
Ripley's finisher.
Yeah.
So the next clue, if we can somehow find a way to link the next clue to Damian Priest, I think this person is onto something. Again, I think it's Bray. But we've all seen the stuff about Bray. I thought this one deserved some kind of attention because it is interesting and they clearly put some thought into this, which I will always respect because this is literally taking me down the rabbit hole along with a few others. It's just very interesting. It's very interesting to me. So with that, does that change your mind on who it could be? Or are you still of the thought, it's most definitely Bray Wyatt?
Yeah, I'll still go more Bray Wyatt, but if that's something to do with Damian Priest, because all the Rhea Ripley things, I mean, more power to Damian Priest if it was him, or
Edge,
Balor, or anybody.
The reason the Damian Priest thing got brought up is because they've touched on Finn, Dom, and Rhea. So if the next video is something that we can link it to like a priest of a church or Damian, the other side of things, then it's like, okay, the Edge thing makes sense because they've literally given us clues about each member of Judgment Day. But again, I think that's crazy. It's Bray Wyatt.
Bray Wyatt just messing with people, man.
Absolutely. He's so fucking creative. And I guess I'm going to ask one more question because we're on the subject and I get caught up in this Bray Wyatt White Rabbit stuff every single time. I apologize for the people watching this taking so long, but it is what it is. So, what was I about to ask? Damn it, I done lost track.
We went into Bray Wyatt. We talked about Bray Wyatt.
I know. What was I about to ask? Frick. I think I lost it. I don't think we can talk on it now. I done lost it. Shame on me.
Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley, Edge, Bray Wyatt.
It was Bray. What was it about Bray? Oh, okay, yeah. Let's just say it's not Edge. It's not Edge. But let's just say it's not Bray Wyatt. And it's the debut of someone. Are you disappointed? Let me rephrase that. Are you disappointed it's not Bray Wyatt?
Not really, because like, dude, I haven't been buying into all the stuff on Twitter and everybody talking about it. It hasn't got me. I want Bray to come back because I know, they're setting up challengers for Roman and people that deserve a spot, right? I mean, even though Bray doesn't need to fight for the title, but they're running out of people for Roman, man. But I wouldn't be upset if it wasn't Bray. I want it to be Bray.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it better be somebody damn good from NXT if it is. You better fill some shoes for you're gonna piss a lot of people off on Twitter.
Here's a name that's been thrown out that people are like, if it's so and so, I'm gonna riot. Joe Gacy.
God, no.
Really?
Man, I'm gonna man.
I'm gonna go ahead and explain to you why it wouldn't bother me if it was Joe Gacy. And it has nothing to do with the fact that at one point I actually liked Joe. After he did the whole what were they, druids and all that, I was like, okay, I'm done. I don't like you, Joe. But I do think he has a lot of talent, and I think he
does.
He's a very good on the mic, and I love his creativity. So if it's Joe Gacy, the reason I'm not mad, and this is again coming from someone who really wants Bray Wyatt to return. If say Joe comes out and he attacks someone, and it's like he's the White Bunny, what they did is put so much time and effort into a debut that we have not seen in ages.
Yeah.
I dare someone to tell me the last time they debuted someone on the main roster with this much like effort put into it. So if it's Joe Gacy and his crew or anybody else, any debut, I'm not going to box it into just Joe.
Wait,
I can't be mad at the fact that they've actually put effort into new characters, which is what people are always clamoring for. Like, we want new faces. We want this. Okay. Well, you just sent us on a wild goose chase for weeks trying to make us figure out who this was. Shut up with that, Captain. I'm not putting Glacier up there. They had us on a wild goose chase, and we're like we are just enamored by this whole White Bunny thing. And for you to do that for a debut, it's like, okay, you've got my attention. Wow, you've made me think I should care about this person that much. Let's see what they got. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that the ties to Bray Wyatt have been made because there's a significant amount of fans that are just going to be like, it's not Bray, it's a disappointment. And it's like, I don't think that's how we should be looking at it. If it's Bray, we can be happy. If it's not Bray, we should be like, okay, let's see where this goes.
Well, my reaction is more I wouldn't care as much because it's not Bray. But I do like Joe Gacy enough. I do like what he does. I mean, it's getting kind of boring in NXT because he's doing the whole schism thing. But if what you say is true and they're referring to Judgment Day on some of those things, Judgment Day is their own little thing where they take control. Schism's doing the same thing, but they're acting like they're nice with inclusion. But then they take control as soon as something goes wrong. Like they will. So, I mean, it'll be interesting if they're calling out. They're calling out Judgment Day if they are because they think what they're doing is a better way of doing it. Judgment Day takes it by force. They do it by positivity, and then all of a sudden,
inclusiveness.
Thank you. And so that would be interesting if it was them, and would make me actually interested because I know of them.
You just tied those together, and I didn't think of that because again, I literally just saw this before we came on, so I inserted it. But tying those two in together, I actually kind of like it now. I wouldn't be mad. And okay, I'll put it up. Glacier. I don't remember how long his tease was because I didn't pay that much attention to him. I just wasn't. But bro, that was what was that 95, 94? Like it's been a long time. I know WWF in the late 90s did vignettes where they'd air them for like a month. So that's kind of the same thing, but not this much effort. 6 months. Holy shit. Glacier was a flop, bro. Okay, but I'll stop it there because we've gone over, and I just wanted to get the White Bunny stuff in. I tried to ignore, I can't. It's too damn good. Winner of 96. So let's just Glacier's the last one that this much effort has been put into. 96, 2006, 2016. We are at 26 years. I did the math right there. I did. Yeah. Good job. 26 years since we've seen this much effort put into a debut. Don't shit on it, people, if it's not who you want to. Expectations ruin everything. Especially if they're going after Judgment Day. That's actually fucking brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would not be mad at that.
I think so.
But yeah, that's the show. So this is the part where we wave and we say our goodbyes to the almighty Sami Zayn. Thank you for joining us. El Capitan, Courtney in the chat. Thank you guys. Anybody watching later on, appreciate you tuning in as well. I said the same way, bro. All right. So I will be back tomorrow with the Raw recap. Sorry I missed it last week over at Wrestle Buddy. Things happen. Life happens. I'm back and better than ever, as Eric Bischoff would say, tomorrow night. So I'll see you guys then, and thank you for joining. Goodbye. We'll get my hand in there. Sammy's in the way.